You're listening to the RE Social Podcast with your hosts, Andrew and Vince from OnV Invest. For more information, go to onvinvest.com.
Hey guys, welcome to RE Social episode question mark. We don't know when this will be, right?
Yeah.
We don't know the number.
Yeah, we've just been filming a couple, recording a couple, and then we'll piece it together. You'll probably be like third or fourth.
Cool.
Again, so
Yeah. But today we have a very special guest, one of my best friends from work. We used to work together at Applied Medical, Kevin Saizan, who recently retired from working a full-time W-2 job, which we both are engineers. And then he's gone on to do some interesting things. Kev, you want to start off with a little intro background of yourself?
Sure. I mean, retirement is kind of a strong word, but that is, in a sense, what I've been doing. Because, I was an engineer for about 5 years, and, I accomplished a lot of things that I wanted to do as an engineer. And I just kind of found myself every day at work thinking, well, what do I want to do next? And so, COVID has been really hard, and the pandemic has, forced a lot of us to, think about what we want to do with our lives. We have to stay at home, and just, there's all this time. And so I got to thinking about what I wanted to do with my time. And, I was able to, luckily, figure out a life that I wanted to live. I found some things that I like doing every day that I could do every day. Stuff like meditation, reading, walking, rock climbing, learning new things. And over time, I just sort of structured my day in a way that I could do all those things. And once I had that rolling, I just decided, it's time for me to leave my work.
You couldn't do both?
I was doing both for a few months. And while I was at work, it was just I'm sitting there. Sometimes it's we're working on interesting problems and there's a lot of stuff going on. Sometimes I'm I finished my work and I'm what do I do now? I just want to go on a walk, but it's what are my coworkers going to think if I'm just off going on a walk, or if I'm just sitting here reading a book?
And sounds to me like it's really about freedom for you then. Just kind of do what you want when you want.
Yeah. I mean,
if you meditate, I want to go walk, or...
Yeah. If you wanted to isolate the core value, absolutely. It's
that's what I'm all about. I'm all about core.
Freedom. Because it's you give something away by working a 40-hour work week, and it's your time. It's the most valuable thing that you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's how do you want to really spend your time? If I could spend a couple hours at work with the people that I enjoy working with, while still being able to do all the things that I want to do, sit and meditate, or go for a walk, or chase this idea that I have in my head to learn about something new. Mm-hmm. It's I would do that. It's just when I asked the people in charge of that, it's no, they can't let me work 2 hours a day. That's not fair to everyone. I mean, I knew in the back of my head, if I asked, I know what they would say. But in one of my exit interviews with one of my upper management bosses, I guess, I did bring it up. It's hey, one of the reasons I'm leaving is because there's other things that I want to do, and I feel I get my work done in a couple hours a day. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. But he was we can't let you work for 2 hours a day. That's
even though you're doing the task that was assigned to you.
Sure. I mean, I put myself in a position where it's I'm no longer being assigned tasks. I was deep into research. So a little bit of background for my engineering that I worked with Vince with, because we're on the same team. Part of our job was to just solve problems that had never been solved before, either because the information was kept secret for other companies that have solved it, or because the technology was so new that really no one had solved it before. And so it's you don't really get assigned tasks. It's just here's a problem, and no one expects you to solve it, but you're supposed to try. So it's if you're sitting there and it's you solve a small problem, but there's this larger goal that hasn't been solved yet.
Yeah.
But you want to take some time to re-energize, because it takes a lot of effort to solve even the smaller problems. Well, it's that looks bad because other people are working.
So it sounds to me so your story is you basically are, I mean, air quotes, retired, essentially. You left your job. It's mainly because you wanted more freedom for just doing you. And also sounds like you were just so good at your job that you were getting things done, and then you had the time, but because of the corporate stiffness and structure and just the way it's always been, that kind of came to a head for you, and you're all right, I'm out then.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
So it's I don't want to say I was so good at my job, but I could say that one of the things that motivated me in my job was to automate the things that I had to do. So it's like, oh, here's this like analysis that I have to do all the time. And I'm getting bored doing it manually and clicking all these buttons and using the software. So I'm going to write some app or some script or some software to sort of automate parts of it so that it takes less of my time and I get the same end result.
That's awesome.
And then I would apply that to so many things in my job to the point where it was like, well, there's not much for me to do anymore because I just like automate this analysis and this testing.
Wow.
Or I can ask an engineer to help with this like assignment.
That makes sense.
And then it's just like, well, what do I do with my time then?
That's brilliant. And so now to kind of segue into, I guess, the purpose of this investing, you took that same kind of methodology and you applied it to crypto.
Yeah. So that's what I started to explore was just like, okay, I'm solving all these problems at work. I have all this free time. What do I want to do? It's like, well, why am I at work? And like, you know, like I thought about the core values of like what work gave me. Gave me structure, gave me people, gave me like a way to socialize, gave me purpose, a lot of drive and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, how can I get that somewhere else? Or it's like, what else is my job giving me? Well, it's giving me money. So it was like, okay, I can give myself structure. I can find friends outside of work. I can give myself purpose outside of work. Mm-hmm. How do you get money outside of work? Sure. Like that was the one problem that probably kept me at work, even though, you know, I was there for a couple of years, like thinking, what am I going to do next? And for me, the answer was crypto and investing. So it's like, you know, while I was working with Vince in like the lab and doing testing, we'd like talk about his journey in real estate that he'd been working on on. And at first I was like really against real estate. I was like, oh, you guys just want money and like money is evil and all that stuff.
Yep.
I'm just going to sit here.
And I want to be the most evil person.
Yeah. I'm going to do the exact opposite thing and I'm just going to meditate every day and I'm not going to care about money or materialism or whatever.
Sure.
And then in my meditation, I realized, like, why do I believe that? And it's just because that's what you're kind of taught growing up is like, money's the root of all evil. There's all these rich people with billions of dollars and there's world hunger. It's like,
yeah. Even me growing up, I grew up with, you know, family not having much, and a lot of them to this day still believe that, you know, anyone who has money for sure screwed somebody over to get it. Like they truly believe that, which is also why they are still, you know, barely getting by, unfortunately, even though they're all entering.
I mean, it's hard to hear that because, like, why do people choose to believe that? It's like,
yeah, I don't know.
It's such a pessimistic view of the world.
It's unfortunate. I mean, there's some truth to it for sure. I'm sure there's some scrupulous types that have conned people or maybe sold people a set of knives they didn't actually want or need. You know, I'm sure that's out there, and so maybe that's part of what gives it that bad rap or feeds into it. But yeah, for me personally, and I'm trying not to hijack this as your interview, but to relate to that, my money game changed for me like almost overnight. I already had a lot of good energy and good things, momentum going. With my thing was music back in the day, still is, but that was what helped me to launching, you know, McCormick Music, and I couldn't do that, and I couldn't pull out all this cash I had in a safe under my bed, like thousands of dollars, just dying there in the safe. And now we talk crap on people who do that, but I was that person, and because it's like, you know, I was just so always used to just. I have to save everything. I don't have anything, you know? Yeah. So it was like, that was one step higher than what my parents were doing. Mm-hmm. They had nothing. So at least I had the cash, you know?
That's an improvement.
It was an improvement. And, but what really showed me the light was some audio book, Bob Proctor actually. But he said something where he kind of helped me separate the two. It's like, well, you know, do you feel like you're a bad person? Do you feel like you're an evil person? And the answer is, well, I was like, no, of course. I'm actually very generous. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, well, then why do you think, you know, money's going to turn you evil? I think it just enhances what you naturally normally are right now. Are you a courteous person? Are you a kind person? How is money going to make you an evil person like that? That doesn't make sense. And so I started thinking about that. And I was also going to clients' homes, these big mansions in Newport Beach, just teaching music at the time. And realizing those people were also just awesome. Sweethearts. Just great people. Fun people. You know, millionaires. It's like, wait a minute. Rich people aren't evil. I'm sure they're out there. Sure, I'm sure there's these unscrupulous types. But separating those two really was the game changer for me. It's amazing how much your core beliefs can change, and change your life when you just have like that one switch.
Yeah, it's like.
So do you still feel like money's like a bad thing, or?
Oh no. I mean, I completely agree with what you said, which is you got to separate the ideas of, like, money is just money, and to some extent, sure, there are bad people who do bad things with money.
Sure.
At the same time, it's like not everyone is like that, and it's not to say that you're going to be like that if you get money.
Right.
It's like you said, like, money, it's not necessarily going to change you as a person at the core, but it may amplify some things that are inside of you.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, like, sure, like, if you understand that, it's like there are some things to be careful of, right? Because if you have problems, they may amplify with money.
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, if you are a kind and generous person, that will also amplify with money.
Right.
So it's like, I came to a similar understanding, which was just like, it's not money that turns people evil. It's like people have good and evil inside of themselves that they can deal with on their own. Yeah. And then when you have money, you just have more access to do those things,
right?
Whether it's good or bad.
Sure.
I actually think the opposite of that. Like how we're talking about like how rich people could be evil. I think poor people are very selfish. You know why?
Why is that?
Because they only think about themselves. Because they don't have the money to even support themselves. They don't have time to think about you. But if you think of like someone like Bill Gates, his whole life goal, is to give away all of his wealth to poor people or the things he believes in, right? Yeah. So even you and I, we think a lot of the time about your mom, like how her investment is doing. Can we pay her more money? Like, because we have the opportunity to think about other people because we have our stuff figured out, right? But if you're poor, you only think about yourself and like, can you feed the kid, right? Yep. So it's like you can only do so much. So it's the opposite too.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, like money can free you from that as well. Yeah, like you can be restrained by not having enough money, which forces you to think of like, if you're in that mindset of like, well, how am I going to feed my kids the next day, or like how am I going to pay rent next week? It's like you don't actually have the capacity to think about anything else except for just survival.
Yeah.
So to an extent, it's like, yeah, money. If you don't have enough money, that will force people into a place where it's like, well, they're just going to be selfish because like, what else can they do to survive?
Yeah, that's the concept of our podcast is talk about financial freedom using real assets. It could be anything, right? So we don't really say that going to a W-2 job is actually bad, right? I really like my job. He liked his job too, right? But it does tie him to a space for a lot of his time. So that's almost his entire life, right? Do you want to do that? And the people say like, I love my job. Yeah, you love your job, but do you love your job more than your life? There'll be nobody who will do that because you're giving away most of your life.
Would you choose to do that job or meditate, walk, travel? For me, it's travel. For me, it's like my big why is travel, like freedom in general. So it's like, of course.
So we want to educate people to give them the opportunity to do what they want to do if they have the basic financial needs taken care of. Like if, my number is really high, Kevin's number might not be that high per year, right? Mm-hmm. So if I can take care of that number outside of work, now I can choose to go to work or not go to work and do other things. But if I have to go to work, people are people are probably already pissed that this Sunday, Monday, you got to go to work. But we did have Kevin was talking about our work. I still work there. Kevin and I have very, very interesting things we were doing at work. So we get a lot of leeway. Like you can't be like us usually. You have to put in like hours and stuff. Mm-hmm. Since we can perform at a certain level, you do get some leeway. So you can build that inside a structure. It's just that company or any company can't provide you more than that because they are tied to certain things. You can't do that. It's a business, right?
Yeah. So. That's interesting that you guys are you're not, from what I'm understanding, completely tied to the 9 to 5 clock in, clock out, same time. Sounds to me like you're in the same situation where you kind of knock things out pretty quickly, solve problems quickly. Yeah, you don't have to be there, and yet you're still both so motivated to get out of that rat race. Even with all that, you guys have way more freedom and, let's be honest, probably income just as like engineers than most of the country. And yet you're still like, no, it's not good enough. Like, that's cool. To me, that's really cool. That means your why is just so strong and your goal is so much higher than that. I love talking to people like that.
It's I mean, in a sense, it's like suffering from success. It's because like I remember being the person just starting this was my first job, like out of college, or ever. Like
this job that you just
left?
That was your first and only job?
Only job that I've ever had.
How old are you again?
I'm 29.
29?
Yeah, and I was there for almost 6 years.
Wow. And you're
So-
like 6 years. Wow. So wait, let me ask you this. I want to pivot because crypto. Tell us about like what you're doing with crypto, how it's working, and how it's allowing you to retire. How you even got started.
First, tell the listeners, what is crypto?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, what is crypto? You've probably heard of like Bitcoin and stuff.
Yeah.
What crypto is like an attempt to sort of restructure our monetary system using software. So some of the problems with our current monetary system is it's centralized, it's controlled by the government, and or it's also controlled by banks who can give out loans and increase the amount of dollars that are in circulation, which makes it susceptible to inflation. The rules can change, like who decides like how much to tax or like how much things cost and stuff like that. And so what crypto is, it's a currency in a similar sense, except it's for Bitcoin, it's decentralized. What does that mean? It means that the number of Bitcoins that will ever be in circulation has been defined by the software. And because people have decided to accept Bitcoin as something that has value and that can be used as a currency, they're agreeing that this software will define just like the number of coins in circulation. And so there's only going to be, I think, 21 million coins that will ever be printed. There's a set schedule defined by the software, and it's decentralized in the sense that like anyone can own the network because there are these what you call nodes, which are validating transactions on the network. There's miners who control the state of the system by adding transactions to what's called a blockchain, which records like basically a history of all transactions that have ever been done. And I guess to put it very simply, Bitcoin is a list of who spent what money, and it's been written in software, and it's controlled like by the blockchain, and it's really hard to change.
Who controls the blockchain?
Anyone who owns a node. So the node will record the history of all transactions in the blockchain. So like what a blockchain is every 10 minutes you have a list of transactions that gets recorded, and it's put into what's called a block. And then miners will try to solve some crypto problem to verify that all of those transactions are correct. And then it gets attached to all the previous blocks that have ever existed. And so that is called the blockchain. And it's sort of hard to explain like the technical details of what makes it hard to like change any of those transactions. But what it allows you to do is basically trust that the number of Bitcoins that exist will be the same, and like no one could add more Bitcoins. You can lose Bitcoins if someone forgets like a password to a wallet where they keep their Bitcoins, but no one can basically inflate the.
That's interesting.
Can someone just shut down Bitcoin? Can it crash, or like not the monetary value of Bitcoin, but can the software itself just disappear?
So that's the interesting thing about the reason why it's so powerful is because it's decentralized. So, like when I say that the dollar is centralized in the sense that like it's controlled by the government or by banks, it's like if your faith in the government changes, or if the government falls, or like something happens, then the dollar is going to fall. And you see that in some countries where they try to print their own dollars or their own currency, and then their government becomes unstable and their currency inflates rapidly because they just start printing all this money. So the reason that Bitcoin is like kind of immune to that is because it's decentralized. Because the history of the transactions of Bitcoin is stored on a node, and anyone can have a node. Like I dabbled with like trying to set up a node myself. Like the entire history of every transaction that's ever happened on Bitcoin can be stored on like a few hundred gigabytes of data, and anyone can have access to that data. If you try to shut it down, well, it's like saying there's like 100,000 nodes, and if you shut down all the nodes in the United States, there's still like 50,000 nodes or something like that, which all have the same data recorded on it.
And it's still growing every day, so it's getting harder and harder to shut it down, right?
Because so there's like a cryptographic process that goes into solving or adding transactions or blocks to the chain. And it's like to go back and try to change a transaction is actually incredibly hard because you have to redo all of that computational like problem solving.
Okay.
So this is so what Kevin is talking about, if people don't understand, is he's talking about like how our monetary system, US dollars or any US different countries' currency, they're controlled by different things based on the country's GDP, but they can print more dollars to deflate the value of the dollar itself, so it causes inflation, right? So you're saying with this kind of coin, or Bitcoin especially, it's decentralized finance. That's what they call it, right? DeFi. Mm-hmm. So that happens because they fixed how many coins you can actually print. But there are coins, like alternate coins, which will be printed more and more, right? So they play with inflation as well, right? So how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, like in a sense, cryptocurrency has inflation, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you can have Bitcoin, and then there's something called a fork, where if you change the software, the code, the number of coins, or something like that, you basically create a whole new network.
Yeah.
And that network can be labeled a different kind of coin. So you might have heard of like Litecoin or Ethereum,
yeah,
or Monero or something. Like these are all like sort of similar ideas to Bitcoin, but on their own network. So they have their own blockchains, their own history of transactions, and their own value. And so in a sense, there is inflation because anyone can create a coin. And you probably see that now in the news if you hear about like joke coins like Doge or Shiba Inu. Yeah. And it's like, these are also coins that someone just created. And maybe like the parameters are different. Who knows like how decentralized it is, or like what the true value of it is, or how secure the coins are. But in a sense, it's inflation, but the way that gets controlled for is like, I think the market decides. So it's like everyone with a dollar has a vote. So you can put your dollar in Bitcoin and say, I trust Bitcoin, or you can put your dollar in Shiba Inu and say, I trust Shiba Inu. And everyone gets that choice. But I think the important thing is like, the government's not telling you have to use dollars, and I'm going to print $1 million to give out to a business for a loan. It's like, you can put your dollar in Bitcoin and know that they're never going to make more Bitcoin, or that they're going to release Bitcoin at a very set rate. Or you could put it into some alternate coin that says like, hey, if you own our coins, we're going to give you 20% return every year, which is inflation. But
yeah, can you mine more Ethereum? Is that fixed amount too, or can they keep printing?
That's the same thing.
Okay.
Is every separate type of cryptocurrency type of coin, so Bitcoin, so Ethereum, those all like have a certain amount of like 21 million? That's the cap for sure, or no?
It's different for every coin. So it's
but is there a cap for every coin?
No. So some coins have a cap. Most coins have a cap. Okay. Some coins are actually inflationary and don't have a cap. Doge is actually inflationary. So they will always print a set number of Doge coins every time they do another block.
There's a lot of the things that go behind it. So he's talking about how like one of our friends, Clayton, he's like super on Bitcoin, but he only likes the other coins are called alternative coins or altcoins, right? Some of the inflationary coins, I like them because it actually promotes spending of it and makes everybody use it. If Bitcoin doesn't, you can't print more Bitcoin. What happens is you might not want to trade your Bitcoin, right? So that might actually put a cap on how much Bitcoin gets traded, and the value might get compressed a little bit. But if you keep spending, more people are going to keep using it because you're buying toys and TVs with it. That also inflates the value too. So there's different things.
So now I'm definitely learning a lot about crypto and how it all works. I actually know almost nothing personally. I just know it's very volatile.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious as to how you're using it and your smarts and ability to automate processes as leverage to create this freedom ultimately that you want. What's going on?
Sure. Okay, so I learned about crypto in 2017. A bunch of my friends were into crypto, and I was like, okay, I'll buy like a few Litecoin. And then 4 years later, like this year, we saw Bitcoin go from like $3,000 to over $60,000 within like a year.
Wow.
And some of the Litecoin that I held also went up in a lot in value. And I was just thinking, like, what is this? Like, because like, you learn about investments and 5% return a year and stuff like that. And somehow there's this cryptocurrency that was giving massive returns. And I was like, I wonder why that is. And so I started to get interested in exploring that more this year. That's just because the prices were crazy. And it started with like day trading. So I was the type of person who was like, oh, day trading, like super dangerous. Everyone says that you'll lose money day trading. It's not a good idea. And then I guess you can say it was lucky, or maybe it was not a great thing, but I started day trading 3 months ago during the
regular
summer.
Stocks or crypto?
No.
Crypto.
Crypto. Okay.
Yeah. So
So I didn't even know you could day trade crypto, but it makes sense. But
Yeah.
I just
You just buy and sell the same
I know
day.
Yeah.
so little about crypto. I'm like, oh,
I mean,
that makes sense.
there's a market, there's order books, so you
Yeah.
can place orders, you can do buy and sell orders,
Makes
stuff like
total
that.
sense.
And I started to make a bunch of money in crypto
Nice.
from day trading. And I was like, well, this is kind of interesting because I thought it was one thing and now it's a different thing. And so I just started learning. I started reading a bunch of books, day trading for stocks, crypto books, like the history of crypto, economics, how the market works, how banks work, how money works, all that stuff. And I was like, I don't really want to day trade because I don't have the time for that. So I'm going to write software to automate day trading and like look for coins that will be profitable with day trading. And I don't recommend this to anyone because it's like, it takes up a lot of time. And the only reason I was able to do it and have some sort of success in it was because I was so interested into it that I was able to put so much energy into it and read all these books and write all this software and make it work and fail a lot, but then like eventually succeed. And after a few months of doing that, I had a bot that was just sitting on my computer and making trades. It'd send me a text message and be like, here's how much money you made on this trade. Wow. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I wonder what the limit is. And today I actually don't have my bots running anymore. And the reason why is because back to the freedom thing. I didn't like looking at my phone every time I got a text message, and I didn't like having this bot set up on my computer and like thinking like, okay, is my computer good? Is my internet good? Am I going to miss a trade? Sometimes we'll do a bad trade because like not all trades are successful. Sometimes you lose money. And I didn't like that hit. And I was just like, there's got to be a better way than that. So then I started reading more books, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, investment books, assets. Like, how does that stuff work? How can you just put money into something and then after a few months or a few years, you get more money? Like, how does that work? And then I started to dabble with investing instead because it was so much simpler than running a bot. Because, you know, every day I'm like trying to change parameters on the bot. I'm trying to optimize it, make it make more money. It's like, oh no, it made this much, but I could have made that much. Yeah. You know, it's like, that's very stressful.
Wasn't as passive as you were hoping maybe?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's not no work, right? I mean, like, automated trade bot sounds great, but like when you know how it works and you like want to make it better, and it's just like, it becomes an engineering problem.
Yeah. You're constant, like every day, you're like, okay, now how can I... Yeah, that's just your brain, though. You
know, start off trading a couple of dollars, like, yes, I made $1.
Right.
No, I lost 50 cents. And it's just like, and you scale that up, and it's like, it still feels very exciting and also feels like a lot of loss.
So what are you doing now? So you're still in crypto. Yeah. Are you investing? Are you doing anything with real estate, or is it all?
Yeah. So where I'm at now is mostly investing. So it's like what I enjoy is like researching different kinds of crypto, different kinds of ideas and use cases, or different kinds of products, and trying to decide like, is this worth putting money into? And then like sometimes it is, and the company grows or the crypto grows, and most of the time it actually isn't. But from what I've been reading from investing books, it's like there are strategies that I'm just, you know, playing with and developing myself, trying to see what works and what doesn't work. And, you know, ultimately, I think I'm just playing around with the whole investment space because there's a lot of things that you can do in investing.
But it sounds to me like you're already successful enough with it that you quit your job of 6 years. And you're, if I can go there, like bills are paid, like you're good, or what's going on?
Yeah,
he's homeless. He's
homeless. He's
yeah.
like,
he lives in his car.
He lives in a box.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want it to sound like, oh, anyone can do this, or like you can make $1 million overnight, because that's not what it is. Like what it is like the reason I quit my job ultimately is because I have safety nets. Like my parents live in the United States, and I'm on good terms with my parents. Okay. They'll let me live with them if anything goes wrong.
Worst case scenario, move back in with parents.
Yeah, worst case scenario. I have like a fallback plan.
Sure.
And at the same time, like I spent years saving up money, and it's like I don't really want to buy a house. I don't want to buy a new car. I don't need to go on vacation to spend a lot of money for a couple weeks. It's just like, so I saved up all this money. I was like, what am I going to do? And so ultimately what I decided was like, okay, save enough money that I can just be on my own for a year and figure it out. And the more I read books, the more confidence I gained to realize that it could work. And it has been working. And it's like, I'm not set for life, but you know, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to figure out at the rate of growth that I've been doing.
So you are bringing in income through crypto.
Yeah.
So instead of the bot, though, you're the one day trading right now. Is that nuts?
Yeah, so I'm not day trading anymore. It's more like I'm researching, and then every now and then, like every few days, I'll have to make a decision where
To buy or
it's
sell?
to buy or sell. So it's no longer like, like day trading, I would say, is something that you do every day.
Right.
Typically, you're doing multiple trades per day. You're doing a lot of research to find, like, is this going to go up in the next day or not? And investing that I'm doing now is more long term. Of like, what is this company worth in a year? Like, what is their product? How are they going to make money as a company?
Yeah.
Is this worth investing in? Because I think what crypto is like, it's an asset that does a lot of things that other assets do. So it can act as a currency. There are cryptos that have real estate where you can like partially own a house. There are cryptos that are like businesses where it's like they have a product, but you can use their coin in order to make decisions about the direction of the company. Like that's called governance. It's like you can actually like vote on things that the company wants you to vote on. So crypto has like access to a lot of things that traditional assets already have access to. And so that's what's interesting to me. And like there's DeFi. So you can like stake, what they call it staking in crypto. So it's like you buy a token and you send it to a staking wallet or something like that. And then they give you a return per year. And some are safe. Like you can, maybe you have like
Algo and stuff.
Yeah. So Algorand, you can get like 6% return or something like that, which is actually ending this year. But there are other platforms where it's like you can stake your USD tokens, which are like pegged to the dollar. So the value of one USDT is equal to $1. And there's many different kinds. There's like USDC, there's Binance dollars.
Tether.
Yeah, Tether as USDT. And if you put that on a staking platform, they'll give you like pretty good returns sometimes. Like crypto.com recently got really popular because they have a credit card with Visa. And if you stake the crypto.com token, you can get like a 14% return on your USDT or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like there are so many use cases for crypto. And it's like, I like to research things that like have a product or things that are decentralized finance or things that are going to be the next Ethereum or the next Bitcoin. There's just like so many different kinds of coins that you can invest in.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff Kevin talked about. I want to break down a couple of things so
Sure.
people actually know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So initially he was talking about day trading, right? So people are familiar with day trading is you buy and sell the same day. Mathematically speaking, 95% of you guys are morons because you will not make any money. You will lose money. 5% of you will make money, but you're not the 5%. Kevin could be the 5% because I've known him. So it's still risky, right? So, but even Kevin decided not to do that. So that is not really investing. That's just another job. So he quit his day job. If you're making six figures and then he's just got another job, but he's got to buy and sell every day, right? So that you could take that, if you compare that to something like real estate, would be flipping. I hear a lot of
exact same thing.
I hear a lot of people say, they're in real estate. What do? You're a flipper. You're not real estate. You just have a freaking job, right? I'm like, I'm in real estate. You're a loan officer. You're not in real estate. You have a job.
Yeah.
Like you don't know how this
That
works,
involves real estate.
right? So what we want to make people understand is how do you get yourself behind an asset, like an asset class like crypto or stocks or real estate, and you want your name on title, like you want to own that assets. For example, when we go to work for a medical device company, we get salary. We don't own any part of that company, right? What you want to be able to do is you want to have shares or options in that company. That gives you equity in the company. Like I can buy shares in Microsoft, right? But that'll give me equity in Microsoft, but it'll be very small, right? Very small. You can't leverage it. You can't take a loan on it. You can't, have all these plans. So what we're trying to educate people is how do you get on the side of assets? That's what wealthy people do. Wealthy people do not work for their money. They buy companies that have employees that work, and then they just own those employees. Yeah. That's how you do it. That's what Kevin's doing.
I was literally thinking the same thing with like the whole day trading. I'm like, okay, that's equivalent to flipping, or wholesaling, or carrying a note. And then it sounds to me like you graduated to, okay, now I got to think long term, which is kind of how we started. You know, basically it's like, let's just start long term where it's buy and hold.
Yeah.
Let's buy it, let's fix it up, get renters in there, and then eventually refinance it. So the BRRRR method is what they call that.
It's how I would like to make an analogy is like a metaphor would be like Drew and I started on the fifth gear.
Yeah.
It's not.
Literally.
It's great
Right.
in the long term. You'll get great gas mileage, but you're kind of like this for a long
Takes
time.
a while to get going.
Yeah.
But once you're going,
It was rough at first.
Our-
There was a lot of learning.
Our
Yeah,
gross
I can
receipts are more than $300,000 a year, and we barely make any money.
Yeah.
Like, because it's all long term with no short term, right? So
Right.
you still want to have some cash to support your lifestyle and stuff, because we have to pay mortgages and all that stuff, right? We probably have $1 million in equity, but us and our partners like Steve and stuff together, right? But our monthly income is not high enough to, I kind of like just quit my job because it's not as much, we gaining equity. So we want to do like a balancing act. Like, we want to still do something like what you're doing, where you get like a little bit more cash flow. For us, that'll be doing something like VRBO, Airbnb, short-term rentals, or you put like a home for like elderly people where the cash flow is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And then that'll actually balance out, because our debt, we have a lot of debt too.
Right. We're doing that right now. That, I think, and just what's cool about this is, we went really hyper aggressive, just buy assets, even though the numbers weren't there wasn't so much meat on the bone where it's like we're cash flowing tens of thousands of dollars a month. What's cool about real estate is just, it's a matter of time until we are.
Yeah.
If we do nothing else with just, what are you on, like 30 units together now? Like, literally just with these 30 units. We do nothing else but just make sure it doesn't burn to the ground.
just maintenance.
As long as we just maintain, as long as we babysit the babysitters, because we have property management, like, literally we'll be millionaires. Like, literally the cash flow gets better every year because rents go up, the mortgage is fixed. Obviously, these repairs will come up once in a while, but that's kind of the only thing you have to worry about.
That's like the power of assets. Like, I mean, it sounds like you guys were thinking more long term, but I mean, that was only, a few years ago?
Yeah.
It's like you just keep stacking all of these long-term projects on top of each other, and now it's like, it's built into something that's much more powerful.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You can use any asset class. So we want to buy, this is what I try to explain to people. It's kind of hard to understand, but follow me if you can, is you could use this example for anything. So Kevin is taking a monetary system, which is US dollars or any Indian rupees or whatever, right? Yen. Which will be it goes through inflation, which means the value of that will keep going down. So the dollar itself, the value goes down. So what he's trying to do is he's taking that dollar and buying something which will go up. That's what you want to do. That's asset, right? So he takes that, buys Bitcoin with today's dollars, right? Tomorrow the dollar is worth less, but tomorrow the Bitcoin is worth more. It's a little tricky with crypto. You got to know a little bit more because it goes ups and downs. But with real estate, it's the same thing. We take garbage dollars that the US prints and we just go dump it into a house, and then the house goes up in value. And then the debt I borrowed today goes down in value. Like 30 years later, the loans, we'll probably laugh at it. We'll be like $2,000, just freaking take it, right? But that's how it works. So you take the risk now, because you're giving the economy a boost and different things. So they give you tax credits and all those different ideas. But yeah, that's the concept is you want to take information, something, a currency that goes down in value and buy something which goes up in value. That's the concept.
Yeah, I mean, that's how all assets work, is like you put money into it, there is risk involved. And I mean, like, that is one of the things that I learned about assets is like, the reason it makes money is because you take risk. It's not all assets. Like,
absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the thing that you have to be comfortable with dealing with. It's like, you can know as much real estate as you want. You can read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, do all the research and find all the best houses. And it's like, if you're not willing to take the risk, that is where a lot of people, like, they fall back. Like, I mean, that's the thing that I've had to deal with the most since I've quit and become more of an investor full time, is it's like, okay, like, maybe crypto can make you a lot of money. And at the same time, it's like, how are you going to feel about that? Like, can you hold on to Bitcoin when it doubles in price? Or are you going to sell? If it goes up 10x and then it cuts in half, are you going to sell then?
Right.
Or are you going to buy more? It's like the important thing is not like how much you know necessarily. You do need to know like the basics of how crypto or real estate or how assets work. And at the same time, it's like the most important thing that I can give to someone who's never, or is thinking about investing in assets but has never really done it, is like, regulate your emotions and maybe learn how that works. Because if you're not in control of your emotions and like something happens and it scares you, or something happens and it excites you, that can make you make decisions that you don't want to make when you're level-headed. So it's like, I'm sitting here and it's like, oh, here's all these gains. I'm so excited. I want to put more in because it's gaining so much. Yeah. Or here's a coin that's like cut in half in price. I just want to sell it so I don't have to feel the loss anymore. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, those aren't necessarily the best decisions to make if you're thinking long-term, or if you're thinking like medium-term, or if you believe in the asset that you purchased. So it's like, how do you deal with that? And at the same time, have your strategy for what you're doing with your investing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, taking the emotional element out of it, just realizing it's just business, is way easier said than done. As a business owner with my music school, with real estate, there's been plenty of times where, like, for instance, a tenant is just like, you know, terrible tenants. Like, we've had the worst of the worst, like the nightmares of the nightmares. And you want to go and just yell them down and get them out. Be like, no, just ask property management to set them a 3-day pay or quit, get them out. Our first couple tenants we inherited on a triplex, they were
the best.
One was literally a drug dealer. we have to tell these stories. It's fun now. And the other one was like, I think they saw me, and when they found out I was one of the owners, because I'm just like this little like skinny dude with like a man bun. Like, oh, this guy, whatever, some hippie or something. I don't know. I'm assuming. And so they literally paid rent, and then they called the bank and rescinded it. And I didn't even know that was a thing until that day. And I was like, what? Yeah. And, I was still going up there on the weekends to, we were building fences. I was painting, whatever it was, just trying to get this place up and save money on the maintenance of it or repairs. And, at one point, one of the guys, it was a husband and wife and like a kid or something. He was kind of walking out or in, I forgot what. And there's just this part of me, this emotional part of me that wanted to just go over there and just let him know, like, this and this, you're on your ass, this whole thing. But I was like, nope. I literally just ignored him. I'm like, I'm just going to just do my work. I'm going to let property management take care of it. Shout out to RPM. Thank you guys for saving our butts and stabilizing Quincy.
That's very hard to do.
To tie it back to what Kevin's talking about is keeping your emotions out of the business and stuff. And the bigger aspect of that was when we were in a position, but we had both jobs, so we were able to support it. But it was getting so much emotionally for us to handle because we were losing like tens of thousands of dollars every couple months, and it took me a long time to figure it out. But we were thinking of selling the first asset. We were like, dude, this is too much. Maybe we should restart, right? That's the same time he started this business, brick and mortar, because he used to teach out of his home. Mm-hmm. So then, I had to take on a lot of the responsibility in terms of managing it and stuff. So it took me 6 months to actually make the property cash flow and break even. But the 6 months we were just like, should we sell this? Yeah. Like, the
emotions, like the loss. It's like, let's just get rid of it. Let's just cut the bleeding. You know? But I'm super glad we did.
How did you decide to just stick with it? Because a lot of people, they get to that point. It's like you keep going or you quit. And it's like, how do you just keep going?
I had some tools. We had a discussion. He said, you can make the decision. If I wanted to sell, you were ready. Mm-hmm. And I said, give me maybe 3 months. I think I can figure it out. I know because we didn't grow up with a lot of money, I have a lot of creative strategies I use. So one of the things I used to use, I don't recommend this at all, was I need a lot of money to do the work, and I can't save $30,000 from a regular job in like 3 months, right? I don't even make that much in 3 months. So I had my credit card, right? So my credit card, I have very interesting credit cards. So they give me like 0% for like years at a time. So I put everything on the credit card, right? Wow. So then I I still haven't paid $1 in interest. It's been like 5 years.
So you gave yourself like a buffer. To figure it out.
Yeah. He mastered the churning game. And
I had to, otherwise
that
we
helped,
would have.
Yeah, that helped us. I'm really glad we stuck with it too, because I know I'd be kicking myself if we didn't.
The property recently appraised for more than $120,000 more than what we bought for. Yeah. So that was good, and then the rents have gone up. So that's actually a very stabilized asset now. Pretty good.
And it was also the springboard, and it gave us the confidence to go to the next thing and the next thing, and back to you, Kevin. So you invest 100% in crypto. Do you invest in anything else? Do you believe in diversifying?
Yeah, so I do believe in diversifying. I have my 401k that I had from my job. That's going to turn into an IRA or something like that. Yeah. So I do have like some stocks. I just crypto is a thing that's interesting to me just because my background in engineering and software.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it's like, it's the asset that I see doing everything that other assets are doing. I mean, at some point I would like to diversify more. Because that is one of the tips that you learn about investing is like, if you want to make money, you concentrate. But there's also a lot of risk if you concentrate. If you want to keep money, you diversify.
Yep.
But you don't make as much money diversifying.
Sure.
So it's like, at this moment, it's like, it feels like the right thing for me to do is just understand crypto and learn that game.
Double down on that.
Yeah. And once it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I just want to keep what I have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, yeah, I'm going to need to learn more about real estate and stocks or businesses. And
yeah, I believe in diversification in general, on all things for sure. Which is why I'm excited. I kind of talked about crypto and stuff, and like kind of, I still know nothing, but I definitely want to put something in that world. That's the only asset that I don't invest in right now. So it's like, well, let's just try it at least and see what happens.
Yeah,
I wish I would have did it in 2017 like you did, but
I mean, I wish I put more into it.
Yeah, of course, right? There's the emotional
Who knows?
aspect back into it. It's like, dang.
You didn't have a lot of money back in 2017,
Yeah.
That's probably why.
That and like
We bought the house.
the confidence, though, like, oh, I know this is going to go up. Like, no one knew what it was going to do back in the day. It was super volatile.
I have a very controversial opinion on diversification.
Uh-oh.
I think diversification is for fools. Like,
Really?
I don't
Why is
like.
that?
I'm not going to diversify. I know everything about real estate. Let's say, for example, I'm not going to go and figure out how to day trade. That's a waste of my time. Like, if you know everything about crypto, why would you go and try to figure out something else? Like, you really believe in it, right? Because I understand everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Michael Jordan doesn't diversify and go, play ice hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's diversification. Like, Warren Buffett is not
He did play
diversifying.
baseball.
He tried. Wasn't a good idea.
And how did it go? I mean,
Not very well.
No, not very well, exactly. So
Yeah.
true professionals do not diversify. Grant Cardone doesn't go invest in Bitcoin, but he does have a lot of Bitcoin too. But I have some Bitcoin too. Like, I put in like $5,000. I think it's like $8,000, whatever. Who cares? But I do it just for fun.
Right.
But the concept I'm saying is, if you want to be really good, like if you want to be a really good engineer, are you going to also try to see if you're a good doctor?
So, yeah, I mean, so I would say like diversification is good when you're trying to figure out what you want to put all your time into.
Yeah.
Because like, if you didn't know that maybe there was something you were doing before and you didn't know about real estate, if you're doing the thing before, you never would have found real estate.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
once you find that thing, you should absolutely
Right,
concentrate.
yeah. So
And you can diversify inside crypto.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So it's interesting because there's two different kind of conventional wisdom points that are kind of, I think that's what we're trying to talk about. So one is I believe in doubling down on your strengths. As a business owner, as someone who has read a lot of self-help and investing in business books, it's always a thing. Double down on what you're good at, hire the rest out, which is part of what's really helped me to launch and to gain all this momentum personally and with Vince as well, is putting team members in place. And yet there's this other conventional wisdom in almost any, mogul or billionaire, they're talking about diversification. So there's these two. So for me personally, I like to blend the two. And doubling down, for me, it's for sure real estate is my hyper focus. I got my real estate license, I'm in, let's go. So most of what I want to do is real estate. What I like about real estate, it is the asset class that I feel like personally with me and Vince especially, we have the most control. Similar to you in crypto because you've done all this research. I feel super in control, not 100%, there's always risk. But I like that I can just go drive to that freaking property like I did in Minto. We just closing on this duplex. I like that. Worst case scenario, I couldn't find a contractor. I called 20 contractors last Monday to get this thing closed down because something with the shed and we need to replace a bunch of doors.
It's always something.
Yeah. And I was fully ready to just roll up my sleeves and go up there with my stepdad who was on standby. Thank God for him.
By the way, we did go there.
What?
We did go there the previous
we
week.
did do it a couple times. I made a couple trips. You went with us.
Yeah.
And I was willing to go back up there and do it again, but thank God I found a great contractor. And he'll be my guy forever. So anyways, finding the team, doubling down on my strengths, which is not that. But what I'm good at is I'm good at building the team. I'm good at finding those guys. I'm good at building the relationships and keeping those team members. So that's my thing. But I do believe in diversification as well. I do invest in, EFTs, just broad index funds. It's automated for me, so I don't even look at it. So I don't get emotional about it. But yeah, most of what I like to do is real estate because I really feel like I have control. But I feel like, things happen. And I feel like if all my eggs are in one basket, then it's going to be hard to not be emotional about it. Let's say real estate has a huge dip, right? Because I have other asset classes, it'll make me feel more comfortable about it. So much if the economy has a huge dip, right? Mm-hmm. When inflation gets out of control, it'll make me feel really good, the fact that I have so much real estate. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's all about sleeping at night. As someone who grew up poor, the only things I ever stress about is money. And so for me, that diversification is part of how I sleep at night. Does that make sense?
This is what I like to tell people, right? I say diversification, don't do it and stuff. Mm-hmm. I probably have more stocks than both of you combined.
For sure.
Because I work for a different company and I do the 401k. So it is, you want to work within the system, right? I want to maximize the best out of everything. You probably know me the best on this. So, for example, I drive a car which is $50,000. It costs me $0, right? Like, how do you do that? I don't know. Figure it out, right? So, for our company, like if you make 100K, if you put in 2K or $4,000, they will give you $2,000 for free. Mm-hmm. At this point, you would have to be a moron not to put $4,000 because they're giving you free money. Yeah. So there are like different things like Roth IRA. I put $6,000 every year because it grows tax free. Right. So those are things, you could still control. But I wanted to come back to you was, we like real estate class the best because we control it. Like we can go there, tie to get the tenants out. We can improve the value, increase the rents, the NOI goes up, right? So how do you feel about an asset class you don't have any control at all? You can learn about it. You can learn about what Elon Musk is doing with Tesla, but you don't control Tesla. You want to put in so much money in Tesla, Bitcoin. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good question because it's like I think everyone is going to have their own strengths that they should play to. Whether if you want to specialize in something, you just want to go all in, that works for certain types of people. And if you need to diversify a little bit to make yourself comfortable, that'll allow you to do your optimal performance in real estate and your other businesses, and just like hire people to do the things that you're not good at. And then for me, it's like for crypto, it's like what I understand is that I don't need to have control over the price fluctuations of crypto itself, because like a lot of because I can do the research to look into certain cryptos to understand that like most of it is driven by software, and if I know that it's properly decentralized and that the software functions the way it's supposed to, if it was audited and certified or whatever, or I can look at the code myself, because a lot of these projects are open source, to try to get my own understanding of how it works. That's where my confidence comes in, because it's like I believe in that value, and like there is going to be high volatility, and I mean even in real estate you guys have to deal with price fluctuations, and my confidence comes from knowing that like, okay, here's what the software is, and I'm going to know if it changes. Like there might be a news article, or there might be a software version update, or it's like I'm interested in these kinds of things, so I'm going to be trying to keep up to date with like the latest software releases and stuff. So I mean my confidence comes from my understanding of those things.
Oh, so it's because of the decentralized, because of the DeFi, it is because it's not one guy controlling it.
Yeah, I know that like Bitcoin might go up 10% or down 20% or whatever, but the code of how Bitcoin works is mostly unchangeable. So it's like there are systems built on top of it. Like there are different like wallets that interact with it. There's like something called the Lightning Network, which I'm not going to go into, but like there's like stuff that works with the Bitcoin system, but the core of what Bitcoin is, I know, is not going to change. Okay. And I probably didn't do a great job explaining it like earlier, but like basically if someone tried to change the software of Bitcoin, it wouldn't be compatible with the network. So it's like in order for it to change, like a large portion of the network would have to adopt this new version of software, which is when a fork happens.
I see. I had a follow-up question, so listeners or viewers might find this useful too. So in real estate, what we like is we get monthly cash flow, yearly cash flow, and we get some tax benefits, blah blah blah, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So if there's somebody out there who also wants to diversify, let's say, and get into crypto and expect some kind of cash flow, or like, I would buy 10 Bitcoin, but I want to get 6% return in Bitcoin per year. Do they have those? I know you talked about staking a little bit. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, there are currencies that you can invest in, and if you're not comfortable with like just having a standard like one Bitcoin that goes up relative to the dollar, and you want to say like you want to have like a Bitcoin and then next year you want 2 Bitcoin or something like that. There are options for that. And I guess I could name a few. Like you've got so staking options, like Ethereum is moving into a staking model.
2.0, right?
Yeah. So right now they're proof of work and they're moving into proof of stake. And for the purposes of this conversation, all you need to know is if you have Ethereum and you look into staking your Ethereum, then you'll get returns on that Ethereum, paid in Ethereum.
4%, 5% or something like that.
It's something like that. And then
you can sell that and then use it to live your life, because that's what we're trying to teach. Like, I'm trying to figure out a way to not be tied to something you don't want to do. But if something you put your money in but pays you something every month, you can just sell that and have the original investment in there, and now you can live your life. Yeah. Like if you need, let's say, $42,000, let's say you put in $1 million in Ethereum and it gives you 4.2%, you're retired. Then,
yeah, I mean, there's many options. Algorand is another one that I like, where you can stake it every quarter and you get a return on what you put in. On Algorand, one of my favorite coins is called Yieldly. That's another staking option. So you basically hold your coins in a wallet that you cede control of it because they have your coins. But in return for holding your coins on this system, you get coins back.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then you can like live off that interest.
Yeah, exactly.
And like that is one thing that I'm looking into, that it's like I'm trying to weigh my options. There's another coin called Kava, which has a similar staking options. There are also protocols where you can lend them your Bitcoin and then they give you returns for lending it. So it's like there are financial options like that.
Wow. And they always pay in coins.
So usually in coins, but like let's say like because of how crypto is set up, you can get paid in dollars or dollar equivalents. So it's like we talked about a little earlier. There's Tether, so you can get USD Tether, and each coin for Tether is going to be equal to $1. Those are called stable coins.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you can choose, like if you want something that's a little more risky, you can choose the native coin of like Yieldly, and you can just hold Yieldly, and that the value of that relative to the dollar can go up or down, or you can just sell your returns and get USD for it.
And then you could just have these coins on like your Binance. What do you call it? It's not a wallet. It's Binance's platform. Like, where is my money? It's not a wallet, right?
I mean, it'll be a wallet. There's like different kinds of wallets. You'll probably hear of something called like cold wallets or hot wallets.
Yeah.
I mean, what that means is like whether it's connected to the internet or who controls it. So it's like if you have a wallet on your phone, it's like that is a little less secure than if you had what's called a paper wallet, which is just like a series of numbers and letters that you can deposit coins into that no one can access to. Or you can have...
But where is it? Is it on the cloud?
It's on the network. So it's like the network says that this is a wallet with this address with this many coins. And in order to spend those coins, you have a secret password that only you have access to. And if typically what happens is, like, let's say you download a wallet from the App Store, they'll say, here's your secret passphrase. It's usually something like 12 to 24 words that you write down. And you keep those words secret because that's how you spend money from the wallet. So like part of crypto is like you're responsible for your own coins. And so the strength of the security is basically your ability to keep your private words like secret. So that means you write them down, you don't take pictures of it, you don't put it on the internet, you don't upload it to a cloud, because then the security is going to depend on wherever you upload it. If someone hacks your phone, if someone hacks the cloud, they get access to the secret phrase and then they get your coins. But typically you just like write it down in a notebook or something in pen, or some people, what they do is like they'll take a piece of sheet metal and they'll like etch in the words into it, and then you lock that up so that no one has access to it. Whatever.
This is some crazy stuff, bro.
Wow. Or you can just say like, hey, I'm just not gonna go that deep into it. I'm gonna let Binance hold my coins, and they have your information. So if something happens, you can always like say like, hey, I'm this person, I own this account, give me my coins back, please. So it's like depends where you want to put your trust. We
have buddies who have hundreds of thousands of dollars on just like Coinbase and Binance. They don't have any wallets.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. It's like it is. If you don't want to do the work of like storing the coins by yourself, then it's like you're gonna have to trust the system, and you're gonna trust the employees on that system and the engineers that work on the security of their system. And so it's like, you could do that. I kept my coins on an exchange for a long time and nothing happened to them. But there have been exchanges where there were hacks or there was mishandling of coins and coins were lost. And that's the risk, is like, these are real coins. If someone steals them, they're gone.
They won't compensate you, the companies?
No. So it's like, banks are FDIC insured because we can print more dollars if someone steals your dollars. But Bitcoin, if you send it to the wrong address, if you forget your password, if someone takes it from you, it's gone.
I wanted to give, that's crazy. I want to give an everyday example of what the coins and stuff. So I had a birthday party in, in October. And, it cost, I think, $60 or $65 for the meal or whatever we did. So Kevin actually paid me in Bitcoin. So I did the math on it. So he actually paid me like $108 or something. So because the value of Bitcoin has gone up, it doesn't go down.
Funny.
So this is something everybody could do. Like you could just pay for my dinner or my movie, whatever we do. You could trade in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I wanted to use another app, but it was like, in order to use a credit card, there's this charge that you have to pay. And I'm like, hey man, can I just send you Bitcoin? And he was like, sure. And then
so how do you
went
send
up in
Bitcoin?
value.
Is it like through an app? You just like, it's like Venmo? Or
yeah, so you can have apps that can send, like, you can send it from a wallet. So if you have like, I don't know, Blue Wallet, or one of the things I use is Strike. Strike is on the Lightning Network, so I can...
Strike is an app?
Strike is an app. Yeah, I can put
you can purchase...
It's a free app
crypto
on your...
and then trade crypto with other...
It's specifically for Bitcoin. So it's run by a dude named Jack Mallers, who, he's a very big proponent of Bitcoin and only Bitcoin. And it also uses the Lightning Network, which is a way to make Bitcoins go through transactions a little faster. And through the Strike app, I can connect it to my bank account, so I can put dollars in the Strike app. I can use it to purchase Bitcoins. I can use it to send Bitcoins.
Nice. Maybe I'll just download Strike today.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Hey, I know we've been chatting for a while. I just want to ask a few follow-up questions and wrap this up. So if, let's say, there are some, somebody who's watching this, they're like, dude, what the hell is Bitcoin? Like, what is happening? What do people do? Like, is there a website you recommend you can go and be like, just Google
Screw
what is
the
Bitcoin?
people watching. Tell me. How do I get started?
We don't know.
How does a dummy like me that knows nothing?
Let's get started. Let's give some action plans.
So it's going to be like anything else. You have to do some research, but some resources, I would say, like, if you want an all-encompassing, go to this website and then learn about crypto. I like Coinbase. That's what I started on. It's an exchange, so you can buy and sell coins. You can connect your bank account to it and do all your stuff there.
Coinbase is a website, or
Coinbase is a website. It's both.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can purchase coins. You can store your coins on there. Some of them have staking options if you're interested in that. They also have learning modules. So it's like you watch certain videos that explain how certain cryptos work. Nice. If you're interested in learning all of the different kinds of cryptos, and then they'll give you those tokens. So it's like
you get paid to watch to learn about coins.
So let's say it's like you want to learn about maybe you have a little Bitcoin, you want to be like, what are the other coins? You can like watch a module on like Stellar, and they'll give you a few dollars in Stellar for watching the video.
Lumens,
cool.
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah. I have some.
So go to Coinbase, download the app, connect the account, watch some videos, connect the account, and then throw 1,000 or $2 at something.
You can throw $10 in it, and you can watch the videos.
If you can just pick up the free tokens and then watch the tokens double in value.
For the education of it.
Yeah, because if more people use it,
of course, I get it. That's genius. Yeah. Building that brand and that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It's a great space to just like learn about it and get started.
Okay, sure. So that's how you become super wealthy with crypto. Got it. Thank you.
if I have $20,
yeah.
Can you throw some names of coins that I could just throw it in? Like, I don't know anything, let's say. Is it the top 3? Just look at the market cap?
No. So I don't want to be responsible for your $20.
Yeah. We don't give any financial advice.
We're not financial advisors.
Yeah.
We're not attorneys.
You must do your own research. You must like find something that makes sense to you. It's like anything. It's like you don't purchase stock in a company you don't believe in. Right? So it's like there's so many different kinds of crypto. If you're really interested and you're really serious about like putting your dollar to work, it's like, read a few articles on different kinds of coins.
Now, I'm not a financial advisor, but I did throw money in the top 10 coins after talking to Kevin 6 months ago, and I've doubled my money. Just saying. That's I put in $4,000. I think I have $7,000.
That's pretty cool.
That can happen.
Yeah,
that can happen.
That's only because I did not care about the $4,000. So if $4,000 is all you got, like don't throw the $4,000 in
gamble
there.
Money.
Throw like $40 in there.
That was actually an interesting strategy because I was like, I just had a couple coins at the time. And like this guy just got started and he was like, I'm gonna buy 10 different coins. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then I was like, maybe there's something to that.
Yeah.
And then I started diversifying a little more.
Yeah. Is that called NFT?
No, NFTs are
that's a whole
non-fungible
other
tokens.
thing.
That's
Oh, did I just?
yeah.
No, never mind. Don't go there then. That's how little I know. Like I just hear
It's
the
like-
terms. I'm like,
That's
what's
like, yeah, that's
it's
a
like-
few levels beyond.
Okay.
You take a picture of your guitar
Mhm.
and then you sign it,
Mhm.
and then you can make a digital picture of that and sell that picture and sell ownership to people.
One interesting thing is you could like write a song, make an NFT out of it, and then like sell it on a blockchain. And every time that gets distributed or sold or something, you receive like a little bit of what it was sold for.
Now I'm googling NFTs.
So,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, there's one coin on the Algorand chain called Opulus, which is specifically for music, and they're gonna do stuff like that, where it's like basically you release a song, it sells for like $1, you get the $1, and if someone takes that song and they sell it themselves for let's say $10, you get a cut of that.
That's cool.
Because there are things called smart contracts where it's like you can make it written in the contract that anytime this NFT gets sold, you take a portion of that money and you send it back to the original wallet or whatever. So
Wow.
You know, when
Lots to learn, man.
when these guys were talking about crypto a long time ago, I'm like trolling them for like so long. Now it's like if you don't spend the time to understand crypto, you're gonna be a freaking moron. Like because people are not gonna not use crypto because
Sure.
older people are dying.
Yeah.
Younger people, millennials, they're the most, they're going to invest in things because they're bored of stock market and all that garbage. So this is something you have to understand.
absolutely. You don't have to be like super deep into it, but I mean, it's something that I think is going to exist for a while because it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah. I might take some rent money in Bitcoin, dude. Just to
Maybe I
deposit.
can like spend a night on one of your
Yeah, you said
rentals.
send us
Please
Bitcoin.
pay us in
Yeah,
short-term
maybe in Menton.
rentals.
Yeah.
All right, just a couple more questions, Kev. I know we've kept you long enough. What would you say? Like, I know some. He knows nothing. But in terms of pros and cons of like crypto, like what would you say?
So a pro is that it's trying to be like the new monetary system, right? So it's actually trying to solve a lot of problems that exist on the current monetary system, like inflation, security, and trust, and governance, and those kinds of things. And at the same time, because it's such a new system, the con is that like, well, when you try to change a system, it's going to have its own set of problems. It's like you're going to be responsible for your own coins. So if you're the type of person like, who loses their keys or forgets where their glasses are or something like that, maybe you don't want to hold the coins yourselves. Maybe you want to look into something where you can trust another person to keep it for you.
He's talking to me.
Or I was like, and also,
I lost 10 grand.
it's extremely volatile. So it's like
Yeah.
it's unnatural to feel. Literally, I had a coin that like cut in half a week ago, and then like the next day like doubled in value. So it's like
So it just went back to 1.
So back to the emotional regulation thing. It is exciting and terrifying at the same time if you're in certain coins.
Yeah.
But some coins are more stable than others. Some coins are more trustworthy than others. It's like if you're very new to this, it's like play with a little bit of money, see how it feels. Because when I was day trading, $1 felt like the greatest thing ever. Where like I made $10 in a day, and that paid for my lunch. That feels great. And then you lose like $5, and it's like, just give me that back.
The volatility, I didn't want to cut you off, but the volatility is what excited me in crypto. That's why I threw some money in it, because I'm like, oh, this is crazy. This is so much fun.
That's
Like
funny.
I see the 20% drop, because you don't see that kind of movement in stock market.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
You have fun money.
So that goes back to the whole like emotional.
Mm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you have to. Oh man, you learn a lot.
Now, and again, we're trying to wrap here, but as another con, I'm so ignorant with crypto. I know nothing about it, but here's kind of where my brain thinks. Since it's deregulated, the government no longer has that control. Do you feel like the government's eventually going to crack down on it, or maybe like team up?
They're already doing it. They proposed a lot of tax changes and stuff now.
Yeah. So you have China, which is trying to ban all crypto.
Right.
I think so. They banned mining.
So do you
for
think
sure.
something like that would happen in the U.S.?
In the U.S., I think it's way less likely.
Because we have guns.
Why is that?
Because it's a good question. For one thing, I don't think they need to control it. I think the U.S. benefits from having crypto. It brings a lot of, because like crypto is, you have access to global currency. So if a country like the United States is in control over a large portion of crypto, you have money from other countries flowing in that the U.S. now has access to if they have access to crypto. So it's actually a powerful tool that I think governments, not just the U.S., any government should, like even like smaller countries can now plug into the system and have access to like United States engineers that are working on crypto. And like, but there's taxes. So it's like, they're going to treat it like any other asset, or like it's a new asset. So it's going to be changing all the time. And, I mean, I think that they're going to allow this thing to take place. They're going to try to put some regulation in. They're going to try to benefit from it in some way. I think it's unlikely.
So that doesn't mean they're going to try to kill it. They're just kind of try to like, all right, how can we profit off of this system?
It's going to be tough to kill the whole crypto movement. I mean, I could just go underground and just start with a computer.
It's true. I mean, it's all based on trust, and like that's what the dollar's based on. Yeah, essentially,
it's a promissory note. It's actually backed by nothing.
Yeah, totally.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you basically have to kill the internet to take down.
That's interesting. Wow.
All right. Any final questions for you?
Yeah, I don't want this to run any longer than it is. But
do you have anything else to say?
No, I think that was
I guess the last thing.
The last one is we usually have our guests give you a 30-second pitch. Do you have anything that you have that you people partner with or can contact you? Do you coach them or anything like that in crypto?
I love talking about this or anything really. Like if you want to reach me, you can follow me on Instagram. Just Kevin Saizon, my name.
Okay, it's KevinSiazon, one word.
Yes, thank you.
I'll do the post.
Yeah,
I'll tag him and all that. So.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Kevin. Man, I appreciate you for illuminating myself and whoever's watching or listening on crypto.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to be on this podcast.
Yeah,
seeing you guys like grow from like nothing to where you are today is amazing.
Yeah, let's take out the blue screen. It's under the bridge.
Cool,
man.